Hi, in this video we're going to be looking at translating words into math. These are the two-step expressions. And the ones I'm going to show you are a little more challenging. So for example, 1, you have the quotient of r plus 2 and 5, and you have the quotient of r and 2 plus 5. These are similar, but it depends on where you place the and, or where you place certain words. So let's look at these two. So on the first one, we have the quotient of r plus 2 and 5. So it's telling us quotient. From your chart, you should remember that that means divide. So we're going to divide two things. And it tells you the quotient of r plus 2, and here's the important word, and. So it's telling you to divide the quotient, or telling you to divide r plus 2 and 5. So on this one, we're going to show a fraction, and we're going to do r plus 2, that's the top, and the bottom is 5. So notice where the and is on that one. Now on this one, it's a little bit different. You have the quotient of r and 2. So now it's telling you to divide these two things, r and 2. And then after that, you add 5. So that looks a little bit different. So the quotient of r and 2 looks like that. R over 2. And then plus 5. So notice that the wording matters, okay? Where you place the and, that matters. Example 2. I'm gonna move this. Okay, the product of 2 and the difference between m and 1. So we have product. That should indicate in your mind that we need to multiply. And then it's going to tell you what we're going to multiply. So we're going to multiply 2 and this right here. So this is where you actually need parentheses. We're going to multiply, like I said, 2. And you can write it as times if you want. And then put your parentheses to show the difference between m and 1. Now the difference should mean subtract in your mind. So that tells you, now remember, this one is not one of the ones that's reversed. Difference, when it tells you the difference between something and something else, you actually go in the order you see it from left to right. So it's the difference between m and 1. So we say m minus 1. You can also write this just with the 2 out in front. The product of 2 and the difference between m and 1, you can just write it like this. Now the one over here is a little different. Worded kind of similarly, but just a little different. We have multiplication here, we're going to have times, and we have subtraction. But we're going to have a different order here. So it says the difference between, now it's going to tell us, 2 times m and 1. So first we're saying it's a difference between these two things. So we have to think, okay, well, I need to write these two things with a subtraction sign in the middle. So the difference, like we said, subtract, and then times means multiply, okay? So the difference between, you can also think of it like that, the difference between 2 times m, so we're going to say 2m, or we can put 2.m if you want, and 1. So that shows you the difference between 2m and 1. Okay, just a little bit different. The final one, I wanted to show you this one because the type of wording you use for subtraction indicates the order. So on this first one, we see 3 subtracted from 1/4 of h. Now remember, back on that chart, I told you that subtracted from, it means subtract, right? But the order's reversed. Instead of reading left to right, you wouldn't say 3 minus 1/4 of h. You would actually put the 3 at the end. So we're going to have 3 being subtracted from something. And that's a quarter of h. So we can say that's 1/4 of h. We can write it like this, 1/4 h. Okay, we can also, if you want to rewrite this, we can rewrite it as h divided by 4 minus 3. That also works. That's still 1/4 of h. All right, and this final one over here, okay, it has the word minus. That one was not starred on that chart. That indicates that you can read it from left to right. So now we can say 1/4 of h. So remember the same way we wrote the other one. We say 1/4 of h, or you can say h over 4, minus 3. Notice that these two expressions for this last example were the same. One, though, used subtracted from, and you had to switch. And one of them, you had the word minus, okay? And again, minus indicates subtraction, but it's not one where you have to switch the order.